Hey everybody, this is John for Pioneer Nexus MTG coming at you with a slightly different Pioneer video, actually doing Pioneer today instead of Explorer, but it's a deck that I've been working on a little bit in Explorer, able to test a little bit of cards that aren't necessarily in Arena, I don't believe, that being Courser of Crewfix and Cyclonic Rift being the two main ones. So the idea behind this deck is we saw one of our opponents in on Arena when we were playing Quintorius combo, played a blue splash for mono green, basically splashing for Fae of Wishes. This is kind of a poor man's substitute for Karn the Great Creator, but does have some utility and applications. Mainly the first off that it can be played as a 1/4 flyer, which can be relevant against decks like Spirits, Mono Red, a few others, just being kind of a blocker as well as the value engine that it is. The rest of the deck is nothing too fancy for a mono green deck. You have your 8 normal elves, your 4 Wolf Willow Havens, 4 Kiora, 4 Oligo Troll, 4 Pelucranos, and then your 4 Cavalier, 4 Storm the Festival. The cards that are a little unique maybe to this build is Courser Crewfix. I wanted a card to kind of help out with the mono red matchup while also being a little bit of a card advantage engine. You got to take every little edge you can get when your deck's kind of been neutered with the loss of Karn. Could certainly play copies of Oath of Nissa, etc. But I do think Courser of Crewfix is a nice medium play, although I'm not sure quite what the right number of 3-drops is for this deck. Nissa I was a huge fan of in regular mono green when your land base is a bunch of forests. However, when you're cutting a bunch of forests for Botanical Sanctums and Yavimaios, in addition to your Nykthoses, your Lairs, and your Boseijus, this card gets a little bit less effective. We still need a little bit more of a mana boost, so I'm still testing it out a little bit, but I am down to 1 copy. Another card that I kind of missed when I was putting this version together for tonight's testing was Elder Gargaroth, which is certainly a card I would want against mono red, although there's a lot of other decks it's just kind of very middling against because it is just a big dot immediate that dies and doesn't necessarily get immediate value if it happens to die, unlike something like Old Growth Troll or Cavalier of Thorns, or if you play it right, Courser of Crewfix, all can get you at least a little bit of immediate value. Now, as far as the Wish sideboard, the pluses and the minuses of Fae of Wishes. First off, it can be played as a blocker early, so it's kind of a modal phase card, but it is not a planeswalker. So it's not sticking around, but alternatively your opponent can't attack it either. And the cards that can get are a little bit different. Now, Karn could get artifact cards, so you could play things like Cityscape Leveler. You could play things like Haywire Might, etc. So you do lose access to artifact creatures. On the other hand, you can play actual spells, non-artifact spells. So this particular list, we're playing 2 copies of Cyclonic Rift and 1 copy of Eugene. Eugene was impressive in a little bit of testing we did on Arena and kind of some grindier games. Really kind of cleans up the board, helps to deal with planeswalkers, and is a threat that just on its own can win the game. Cyclonic Rift was some old tech from the old standard builds of blue devotion. You would use this to kind of clear your opponent's board, then kind of win that way. I don't know that you really want many copies of it, but I do want this as kind of a card that I can actually sideboard in, even in matchups where I might be boarding down on Fae of Wishes. The rest of the sideboard, honestly, is just stuff you kind of expected in a Karn Wish board. Portal to Phyrexia, a little bit of a cuter one, but there are some spots where this is one of the few cards that can get you out of this situation. Mightstone, Meekstone, card draw, creature kill, a little bit of a mana acceleration for like activating your Nykthos, etc. Sky Sovereign, still one of the best cards against Rakdos variants, although I think the Rakdos matchup may have actually swung a little bit further in the negative direction, with Inti and Smuggler's Copter finally giving the deck some really solid 2-drops besides Blood Tithe Harvester. So I'm not sure this is enough to swing it anymore, but still a solid card. Transmogrifying Wand, simply the best creature kill thing you can get. Can kill any creature, Shoulderids, Croxes, etc. It's just nice to have something that can actually kill creatures. Stone Moraine extracts almost any combo piece out of your opponent's deck. Relevant against decks like Lotus Field Combo, etc. Still a solid card. Filigree Siglix, basically Pioneer's version of Ratchet Bomb. Not much more to say there. It's solid against their own 1-drops, so good against, helps against Boros Convoke, any type of red deck. Could be decent against spirits, etc. Damping Sphere for the mirror-ish, although the mirror isn't as frequent. Lotus Field Combo is the main reason this exists. I don't even run it in my arena version of the deck because simply Lotus Field doesn't exist. Lotus Field Combo does not exist as a deck yet because Hidden Strings is not available. Shadow Spear for racing situations. Still don't think this card is particularly good in the matchups you want to be in racing situations, but there aren't a whole lot of better life gain alternatives, so we continue to run it even though it's really not the best. Pithing Needle shuts down random things, planeswalkers, etc. Tormod's Crypt for graveyard nonsense, whether you're up against, is it Phoenix, Greasefang combo, the Neoform combo deck, all of these, it's a reasonable card. Darksteel Citadel, just to have a land to wish for. It could be Treasure Vault, could be Darksteel Citadel. And the Great Henge, once again, there's got to be a premium on card draw, sources of card advantage. Now, there's a couple of things you could experiment with Fae of Wishes. And that is, you can play Planeswalkers in your sideboard. Now, I can't think of any great blue or green Planeswalkers that you'd want to wish for that you're already not kind of running in the main deck. You could play Vivians, you could play some of the Nissa variants, you could play some of the Kiora variants. Another card you could run is, which wasn't really an option in the Karn version, although it did see occasional play in the early versions of Karn sideboards, is you could play, is it the Great? Not the Great Henge. The 6-mana artifact that shuts off Planeswalker abilities. You draw an extra card, and your creatures get +1/+1. I'm drawing a blank on the Immortal Sun. Is certainly a card you could mess with now that your deck's not as Planeswalker reliant. I don't know what matchup you'd truly want it in, although it's just like a fantastic card in terms of, basically you shut off your Kiora as an exchange, you draw an extra card each turn, and your creatures are all larger. Sounds like a card you might want to test. Now, the truth is, Mono Green's not a particularly good deck right now. Even before the banning of Karn, Mono Green was kind of on the downtick. I do think the Rakdos matchups have gotten significantly harder because of Inti. The deck just being lower to the ground and being a little bit more aggressive while still having its mid-range tendencies against the creature decks. I'm not saying it's an unwinnable matchup, but it does feel like they have a little bit better tools. And then some of the rest of the format, like Amalia combo, etc., just were not particularly good matchups for Mono Green. So even if Fae of Wishes equaled the power of Karn, which it does not by any means, it does give you the Wish sideboard plan, but still finding the right balance of this is kind of tough. And the other thing is, it is nowhere near as good as Storm the Festival. Storm the Festival, you put the permanent cards into play, which means you don't have an alternative way to cast Granted, so it would require you 6 mana to do this. Basically, you have to bounce it back to your hand, discard 2 cards, and then cast Granted. Now, that might be worth it. I don't know. I'm not even sure if Storm should still be in this deck. I still think it's solid in this build in particular, but I do think there needs to be some tweaking of the deck to utilize its tools the best to their ability. Fae of Wishes, the other thing is obviously you have to play the more painful mana base. On the arena version, I was testing with 11 blue sources, 4 Sanctum, 4 Breeding Pool, 3 Avamaya Coast. You know, this version I decided to run the 5 forests, the 4 breeding pools, try to at least slightly increase your ability to put an old growth troll on a land. So there's a lot of concessions with this deck just to play the blue splash. You're taking a little bit more damage from your land. Well, you're taking some damage from your lands, period. You're playing a blue splash. So it's an idea. I saw somebody else doing it. I can't even pronounce the person's name. It was like 20 characters on Arena in the Quintorius combo deck play we did. And then I saw that there was one list that tried it. I think at one of the RCQs or something. But I haven't seen a ton of talk about it. Now, there might be some talk in the Mono Green Discord or anything like that. Unfortunately, I'm not really a part of that community, as time doesn't really permit me to be part of every Pioneer and every Modern community. So this is just kind of me working on it myself. I'm not taking credit for this deck. I'm just trying to iterate on it and kind of give, you know, maybe some feedback and some hope to some Mono Green players who were hoping that their deck might become a tier deck again, besides, you know, the Titan of Industry builds that have kind of been the norm right now. But said, let's get into some matches, and hope you enjoy the video. Alright, here we are with Make-A-Wish Green. Not the most elegant of deck names, but I do think it fits what the deck's doing. Yeah, we'll try it. So, turn 2 Wolf Willow, turn 3 Old Growth Troll, turn 4 The World. Mono red. Deck that I can never seem to beat with this deck. So, one thing I did add to this list that I wasn't running on the Arena version, because number 1, it's not available, and number 2 was one of the cards that used to be in Theros Standard in the Mono Green Devotion decks, was Courser of Crufix. Now, it's only a 2 of in the list, and I don't think it's going to swing the red matchup that much, but certainly can't hurt, I suppose. This build certainly has its quirks. Like Old Growth Troll is kind of trash in a hand like this. I mean, it's still a 4/4, don't get me wrong, but the ability to... It's both trash because of etching of Kamano, plus the fact of we have no force to put it on anyway. So we're just going to take a lot to the face and kind of like it. No blocks. Okay. Alright, so currently 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 devotion. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's like, where does my mana go? Where does my mana go? I think we're going block, block. Okay. Yeah, I legitimately don't care about Kiora. Absorb the 1 damage. Alright, so start with Old Growth Troll. Tap this. We don't have to take additional damage. Currently 12, 13 mana. So just enough to do what I want to do. Yes, go grab Portal to Phyrexia. Definitely want to kill Chandra here. Master opponent, and then we can either get the Great Henge or Shadow Spear to lock it up next turn. Sure. Courser of Krufix. Okay, what do we want to go get? Guess the Mindstone Meat Zone also technically works. Continue to do mono green things. Chevalier, Nykthos. All right. And should be a good game. Alright, I need to show off and just crunch. Alright. So probably want the Cyclonic Rifts, Shadow Spear, and Sky Sovereign. Down a couple copies of Wish. Down the Nissa. And I'm fine with Courser being a value engine, a little bit of life gain. The one card when I was working on this that I kind of forgot about that would help in like these mono red matchups is Elder Gargaroth. So. This hand has no acceleration. Do we risk keeping it? Don't think so. Alright. Opponent, if they can kill Elvish Mystic, will obviously put us in a lot of problems, but mono red on the draw is just going to be a bad matchup no matter what you do. There, the Hydra. Hail Hydra. We may very well have one land. I mean, I'm not blocking, so it's a free attack. I could have Lutz. Oh, we do have a second land. Okay. Don't know why you didn't play that for combat. That makes no sense. Yeah, what I can do about it. Of course, a Crucifix. Presume they kept the land on top. That's kind of annoying, but nothing we can really do about it. Alright, can you kill me? Decent chance you can. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Alright, I need to get a little bit lucky with the Storm Festival. I would say we did not, so. I guess the Filigree Silex should have come in. Cyclonic Rift, I think, is fine, but Fae of Wishes might be slightly a bit better. Kind of part Ratchet Bomb, part really good against these decks that are so heavy on 1-drops. Which their deck plays Kimono Faces Kakuzan, Swift Spear, Soul Scar Mage, so at least 10 to 12 1-drops. But yeah, an Elder Gargaroth or two would certainly help. Yeah, we'll try it. It's a painful hand. Opponent kills our elf. Oop, okay. Playing this and go. Doing this because we need to draw a card off of this Blue Chronos, because one thing we're badly missing is land drops. And if our opponent decides to use a roast, all they're killing is a Land of War Elves here instead of the big idiot. They're at least consistent at attacking this Kiora, so we also have Play with Fire going at Kiora, sure. Nice. Draw a line. Draw a card. Just so happened to be a land. So, Fae of Wishes. Go. One thing nice about Fae is it is a 1/4 wall. And I literally don't care about throwing it away for a block here. Okay. Nasty Ferasti. Mm-hmm. Okay. Alright. Not exactly my favorite thing to tap out for, but mm-hmm. Kind of hoping to hit a lot better on that, but Q. Okay. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Is there even anything in my sideboard that could remotely help here? Most of the cheap stuff is in my deck. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 5 attackers. Pretty sure I'm dead here either way, but maybe if they have like 2 Ojera in hands, we have a chance. Block there. Block there. Take 5. I say, you gotta have one more mana in play there, friend. And if they draw a land or a burn spell, we're just dead anyway, so they figured it out. Alright, another match with Make-A-Wish Green. Alright, let's get rolling here. That's about a companion of some kind. Alright, reasonable enough hand for green. Nope. Turn one, Thoughtseize. Nope. Either take Wolfwillow, I was gonna say either take Wolfwillow Haven or Fae of Wishes. I'm not sure which here. Okay, Rakdos with an empty. Granted, yes. Sky Sovereign, go. Mm-hmm. Which means my sure. Blood Crypt. No blocks. Hail Hydra. Croxes are close to coming out to play. It's kind of crazy that Fable And Smuggler's Copter also get to play with NT. That shouldn't even have let me block here, but, you know, we'll take it where we can. Alright, got a little too cute there, but... So Cyclonic Rifts in... Alright, this will be first. It's got a companion, which... What was their companion last game? Had to have been Giganta, which means they're going to probably not run a Shouldered. This seems just too risky. Is it? We'll try it. One Thoughtseize is going to destroy us here, but is what it is. And It's gotta. Waiting till upkeep to kill it. Nope. Okay, they finally found their red mana. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Damping Sphere, not really relevant. Okay, sure. Alright, so can we make any further adjustments? Yeah, we just can't risk this hand, unfortunately. This hand is very similar, it just kind of gets blown up. So go to 5, keep the same style hand that I've been trying to avoid keeping, and get destroyed by our opponent. Fatal push, shocker of shocker. Nope. Wow. So if we draw a land, we might have a prayer here. Unless this is just stomp. Blunt Tithe Harvester. Land? Play the troll. Doesn't make sense to play Courser out here because we can't hit immediate land drop off of it. And this does kind of broke my opponent's current board. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I think you might have messed up your sequencing. It's ironically the first time we've had the no blue mana problem. Usually it's we don't have any forests. Mm-hmm. Sure. We've got plenty of mana, that's not the problem. The problem is this is the problem. I'm just gonna die to a machine gun here, so close match, but mulliganing to 5 certainly has its problems. So